When people come to me and they say, I just want to make more money, I challenge you to say, yes, that goes along with income, but what else are you looking to change? And you know what? It may be a combination of more control. Maybe it's building equity and family time. It may be all of them, but it's good to really challenge yourself in any business. It doesn't have to be a franchise. It doesn't matter if it's a resale, a business. What are you looking to change? What's not working currently? What are you trying to create? What is your ideal life and outcome look like? Really important. Treating the first year. I talk about this all the time. The builder year number one. And that builder year is work your butt off, get the business up and running, learn the business, find the right staff. And if you do walk away with some profit, which is obviously the goal in that first year, reinvest it. It's like looking at a home for sale and telling the owner of the property, love it, definitely want to move forward with the purchase, but I come back in a year to make that purchase. That's not going to work. Someone else is going to pick up that home. Same with the franchise.
Welcome to the Franchise Freedom Podcast, where you can escape the corporate trap through franchise ownership. Here's your host, Giuseppe Grammatico, the Franchise Guide.
Welcome to the Franchise Freedom Podcast. I'm your host, Giuseppe Grammatico, your franchise guide, the show where we help corporate executives experience time and financial freedom via franchising. Thanks for joining us today. We're recording today, July 31st. It is really hot here in New Jersey. I hope you guys are enjoying your summer. Another month or so left. Wanted to take a step back for this episode. I looked at comments, engagements, where we've seen the most interest, the most questions, both on the show and via our conversations. And we put together a show highlighting quite a few episodes. I would say about 12 episodes in total. As far as topics today, we're going to talk about something that I think is going to be greatly beneficial, because this is going to be really before diving into franchises and brands and things like that. This is the entry point. This is where most people are starting. I always talk to people and they tell me this is the very beginning of the process. And that's basically some important things to consider. Today's title for the show, Don't Buy a Franchise Until You Can Answer These 5 Questions. Most people begin their franchise search by asking, which franchise should I buy? And I challenge everyone to have a different question, different mindset shift. I think this is the wrong question to be asking, because before looking at which franchise to buy, you need to dig in a little bit and figure out what is most important to you. And we're going to touch on these 5 different areas. But my challenge to you is, if you can't answer all 5, take a step back, spend the time there before considering what franchises are available in your market. Number 1 of the 5 points, what do you want the business to change? That's a big one to me. This is almost like, what is your why? Are you looking for, we'll call it, more control? When you have a job, you have no control whatsoever, right? You're reporting to a manager, you're given a role, you're made to go in the office, you have to work 9 to 5. So is it more control, just having control over the business, what exactly you're doing, whether that be time, whether that be working from home in an office, or both? So control is something to think about. Is it additional income? Some people come to me and they just want another income source, just as a backup. They have some money invested in the market, understand a business is going to be much more hands-on, so they're looking for that additional income stream. Replacing a corporate job, I call this creating a safety net, right? In the event you were to lose your job, or you're thinking of losing your job, can you create this safety net, this additional source of income, this other business that can protect you, so that you are, going back to number 1, in control to decide when you want to leave that role and transition into business ownership? Is it building equity? A lot of people, when they research franchises and businesses, they look at, what can I make at the end of the year? And what I remind people is that you're also building equity in the business. Regardless of the investment, it may be a multiple of what you're selling your business for. So for my business, when I sold that years ago, it was 3x. The numbers go 3, 4, 5, or a good healthy range. It could be less, it could be a hell of a lot more, but ultimately I see a lot of resales for all there. Building equity, sometimes that's where you see the most value as far as the exit, as far as the income being pulled from the business. Is it more family time? We mentioned time earlier. This is, again, a priority. Is it, I created my business before the kids were born. I launched my business early and my franchise business, and my son was born at the end of the year. Did that to create that freedom to spend as much time as possible. Understanding really the first one is obviously, the first year, I should say, is definitely, you're not creating time freedom, you're working towards it. So I guess you are creating it, just won't experience it that first year. And then going back to building equity or a future exit, is this something you're looking to eventually sell? When people come to me and they say, I just want to make more money, I challenge you to say, yes, that goes along with income, but what else are you looking to change? And you know what? It may be a combination of more control. Maybe it's building equity and family time. It may be all of them, but it's good to really challenge yourself in any business. It doesn't have to be a franchise. It doesn't matter if it's a resale, a business. What are you looking to change? What's not working currently? What are you trying to create? What is your ideal life and outcome look like? Really important. What role will you actually perform in the business? I tell people there are really two types of business ownership. You're an owner operator, where you don't mind rolling up those sleeves and running the business full time the first year, ramping the business up, keeping the costs low. And hopefully by the end of that first year, the builder year, you're able to take a step back and be more semi-active or semi-passive, which is the next type of ownership. And that is more of the semi-passive, semi-active day one. These are for people that are looking to keep their job. Maybe they have health benefits. They're not comfortable leaving that current income. And so semi-passive, semi-active ownership, you hear about this quite a bit. Basically, it means keeping your job and running the business simultaneously. You typically have a key employee in charge. Maybe that's a general manager, but you're providing essentially part-time oversight. You're reviewing the KPIs, meeting with the manager, making sure everything is working. Extremely important. There is no passive ownership in franchising. Passive would be more investing in the stock market or mutual funds, where there really isn't much to actually do day to day. When you're considering a franchise, think about, hey, can I be full-time? Can I be part-time? There's going to be more costs with a semi-passive or semi-active franchise, right? You're going to have that additional employee, whether that be the manager or key employee in place, but you're also keeping your day job. I challenge everyone to say, I ran it full-time because I was trying to escape the long commute and job. The pain was there. The argument I would make for everyone is that if you're running it full-time, I truly believe you'll scale and grow much faster, because you'll probably perform every role, wear every hat in the business to get it up and running, learn every role, hire the right staff before taking a step back. So if you can do that, I'd encourage you, but it's not you must. What I will say is that when you do open it up to owner operator, which by the way, owner operator basically means the first 6 to 12 months, and then you can become semi-passive. This isn't indefinitely forever, right? That you're going to be an owner operator. The goal is to get you to the same spot, but if you can afford it, I'd recommend trying to go the owner operator route. It also opens up a much larger number of franchises we could take a look at, because not every franchise, believe it or not, allows for semi-passive ownership. Number 3, are you financially prepared for the builder year? This is where we go back and get the finances in order, making sure that we first off just get a nice updated picture. So it goes to credit score, liquidity. We want to know all your assets, liabilities. Is there equity in the home? Is there qualified retirement we can use for this? What's the net worth? Franchise companies are looking for liquidity, net worth, amongst other things, but you have to hit those numbers and meet those requirements in order to speak with the franchise company. Hey guys, thanks for listening. I hope you're enjoying the show. As a thank you for being a valued listener, wanted to offer you a free copy of my book, Franchise Freedom. This book was written back in 2020, and it's my exact blueprint in helping you find that perfect franchise. I wrote it based off my experiences and wanted to pass that along to you. Want to chat today? You could book a call directly on our website, top right side of that screen, and you can schedule a 20-minute call. We'll dive into if a franchise is a good fit, help you get qualified, and figure out what that perfect franchise match may be. So I hope you take me up on my offer. Once again, Franchise Freedom. Download the book today for free, or book a call with me directly, and we'll help you bypass all that information you find online. Most importantly, figuring out if a franchise is the right fit, and then figuring out what that perfect franchise looks like. So thanks again for listening to the show, and back to the show. What I tell everyone is speak with a funding company. They'll be able to walk you through all your options: SBA loans, government-backed loans, 20 to 30% down, retirement rollovers, traditional IRAs, previous 401k from a previous employer that you're able to create a rollover business startup, essentially creating a corporation and investing in and buying shares in the new business, the new entity. There are plenty of options out there that you should explore. And I just challenge everyone, just going back to number 2, run a couple pro formas, full-time versus a part-time ownership. Look at all your financials. Do you have equity in the home or not? And looking at those different options. And then having that buffer, the business itself, once you sign that franchise agreement, if it's a non-brick and mortar business, you're up and running in 1 to 3 or 4 months. If it is brick and mortar, you're looking at 7 to 12 months, even greater if you're getting into more of a standalone location, or it's a brand new building that you're putting up versus just renovating the interior. But take into consideration, number 1, all your personal and living expenses. If you do leave your job full time, who's paying your rent or your mortgage or your student loans and groceries? As your spouse, whoever in the household contributing as well. You want to give yourself a buffer, 6 months buffer living expense. so that if the business takes a little bit longer to get up and running, you do have that buffer. Treating the first year, I talk about this all the time, the builder year number one. And that builder year is work your butt off, get the business up and running, learn the business, find the right staff. And if you do walk away with some profit, which is obviously the goal in that first year, reinvest it. You will grow exponentially by reading the business, the infrastructure. Maybe it's another van, maybe it's equipment, maybe it's doubling down on the marketing, but reading and making sure you have that buffer and everything covered. We'll move on to number 4. Can you make a decision within 6 months? In looking at a franchise, we're looking at brands that are currently available. You, amongst other individuals, are potentially looking at the same brand in the same market, whether it's a territory or specific location. So if you can't make a decision within 6 months, I would hold off on looking at brands. It's like looking at a home for sale and telling the owner of the property, love it, definitely want to move forward with the purchase, but I come back in a year to make that purchase. That's not going to work. Someone else is going to pick up that home. Same with the franchise. If you can't make a decision for at least 6 months or less, I would hold off looking at the specific brands. Again, you don't have to open in 6. Realistically, if you had 6 months, made a decision, you're given another 6 months for a service-based brand and up to a year for a brick and mortar brand to get up and running. So these are some things to consider. It's not a sales tactic. It's not to rush people, but we're talking about 6 months for a decision and then up to another 6 months. Keep in mind, due diligence takes time. It may require you to fly out to meet the franchisor, confirmation day, and fly out for training. So you have to factor all that into the time projection. And then number 5, this is as basic as this sounds. I hear this all the time, that this is something that people go off the rails or forget. And that's, are you willing to follow a proven system? What does that mean? Are you coachable? Are you able to follow the system in place, or are you going to go in and redesign everything? Are you listening to current franchisees? Did you go through and do all your due diligence to really truly understand the business itself? A big part of that is that you're going to have autonomy in the business and how you market it and run it, the role you'll play in the business, the hours for marketing. You may use whatever Zora is doing on the marketing side and you're reviewing KPIs, but you'll get to change up the budgets, change how you go about showing on ads. Maybe you put together a podcast because it's in home services and you want to talk everything home services. You'll have some autonomy there, but the point in buying the system, the support, and everything else that comes along with it is the system in the franchise. You're paying for that. You're paying a franchise fee and an ongoing royalty for the coaching and everything. If you're going off the rails and changing things, it's going to be harder and harder for the coach to assist you if you're doing things over and beyond what's included in the franchise. We also want to stay along the lines of the franchise. If it's a tree removal service and now you're offering painting, you're going to have to separate those entities, as basic and as simple as that sounds. So those are the 5 questions I tell everyone. Don't buy a franchise until you can answer these 5. So let's revisit these. So number 1, what do you want the business to change? What role will you actually perform? Are you financially prepared for the builder year? Can you make a decision within 6 months? And are you willing to follow a proven system? I always jokingly wrote this. It is what it is. I tell everyone, but before you ask me for a list of franchises, answer these 5 questions. If your finances, your time frame, desired role, expectations are aligned, then we can start identifying right business characteristics and that perfect franchise model for you. But until these questions are answered, and if you just want to dive into brands, I encourage you to feel free to contact the brands directly. You'll notice it's not easy getting a hold of franchise companies. They're getting a lot of inquiries, and your market may not be available. They may not be registered in your state. They may not be able, this is the most popular one, not be able to rerun semi-passive or semi-actives. Working together, we'll figure all that out and rule out all the brands that don't match that franchise model. I'm here to help in any way possible. People say, aren't you compensated if someone buys a franchise? And my answer is yes, but our process is ethical. Our process is thorough. If we can't answer these 5 questions, I would challenge you to say, pump the brakes on owning a franchise, owning a business, figure this out, and then we go into the next step, and that's diving into those ideal characteristics, brick and mortar, service-based, W-2 versus 1099 contractor, and the list goes on. We'll dive much deeper there, and then we'll go and look at those specific brands that are available in the market that you want to develop. Hope you found this helpful. Really appreciate your feedback and questions on this. We're trying to get very direct. We're trying to hit some of the hot points and the questions we're getting, the shows that had the most views and engagement. We're going back and revisiting some of these because there's a lot of information. People get really overwhelmed, but You got to start somewhere, and you got to go back to the foundational blocks, the important stuff, before getting bombarded with different franchises and really confusing and overwhelming yourself. So guys, I appreciate everything. That's a wrap for today. Comments, everything, you name it, I read them all. Best way, if you want to just dive in it and have a conversation, go to my website, ggthefranchiseguy.com, book a call. We'll spend 20 minutes together. We'll go through these 5 questions. We'll figure out together if a franchise is a good fit. And if it is, we'll go to step 2, and that's our second call. And that's the deep dive into the franchise models. Enjoy the rest of your summer. Thanks for joining us today. If you think of someone that may benefit from the show, feel free to send them over the link. My information, would love to help them out as well. My one ask is to really spread the word and really help people through this very overwhelming process. So if you can share this, however you're digesting this, through YouTube, through audio, through iTunes, or even through my newsletter that we email once a month, feel free to forward this to someone. Greatly appreciate it. And looking forward to chatting with you guys soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in. If you want to learn how to make the transition from corporate to owning your franchise, join Giuseppe on the next episode. You can also follow on all social media platforms and achieve financial and time freedom today.